Is that time? That's of course. I definitely know Tina Turner is the one. I'm gonna ask them today after the show, but I'm gonna start it. Okay.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Here is Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother, all the way in Switzerland. This is and I'm reaching out to all our brothers and sisters on the African continent. You're tuning into Black Hot Fire
You're
Radio.
now listening to the best music.
Feel the hit. Feel the freshness.
It must mean I'm not the same. It must mean I'm not your case. For me to come out, it means that I'm at the door. I want to show you my world. Give me one break, I need faith. Faith to believe you, faith to receive you.
Feel the hit. Feel the freshness.
You're now listening to the best music. 1 hour of the hottest tracks and coolest mashups of the moment.
I'm reaching out to all our brothers and sisters on the African continent. You're tuning into Black Hot Fire Radio.
You're now listening to the best music.
Bring me your matter, bring me your matter. Show me your substance, make me a person, make me your person. Give me one break, I need faith, faith to believe you, faith to receive you.
Happy Friday, family. How are we doing? I hope you're having a great day. It's always a great time to be alive here on the best radio station, the Black Hot Fire Radio Network, meteor of the 21st century. With me, Ibriton Longoria, permeating positivity, love, and sun and light as always. Welcome to another conversation of the day, but I hope you're excited. You made it through the week as it should be. It's June 6th, a month of laughter, rainbows, and pixels as it should be. And the conversation of the day is the heritage of slavery. We're going to go deeper into this and more conversation about it on the Scramble for Africa, how it left Africa. And also, we're going to be talking about Russia, the UAE, and Sudan's stolen gold. And also, we're going to go back to Joshua Maponga's message to the youth, also talking about a colonizing colonial system. But first, we're going to basically chop it up a notch on how it all started by the heritage of slavery. But welcome again on the Black Hot Fire Radio Network, media of the 21st century, as you download our app on the Google Play Store. Stream on www.blackhotfireradio Network for amazing healthy supplements, apparel clothing with the Black Hot Fire Radio logo on it. Remember, as I always say, you are the change you need to see in the world. Before we move forward with the conversation of the day, let's listen into the health and benefits of some of the supplements we do have for you to give you an understanding of what you should definitely be expecting as you're downloading the app on the Google Play Store if you're using the Android device. If you're using the iPhone, kindly stream on www.blackhotfireradionetwork.com.
Discover the natural power of ashwagandha, an ancient herb known for its healing properties. For over 3,000 years, ashwagandha has been trusted to reduce stress, increase energy, and improve focus. Our ashwagandha is carefully grown, harvested, and processed to retain its maximum potency. Each root is hand-picked and dried, then ground into a pure organic powder, ensuring the highest quality. Simply mix 1 teaspoon into your favorite beverage or take it in capsule form as prescribed by a healthcare professional. Whether you're looking to balance your stress levels, boost your immune system, or enhance mental clarity, ashwagandha offers a natural solution. Experience the benefits of ancient wisdom backed by modern science. Trust nature. Trust ashwagandha. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
$90. You can also get yourself some multivitamin.
Fuel your body with Complete Multivitamin, the perfect balance of essential nutrients for daily health and wellness. Carefully formulated from natural ingredients, our multivitamin packs vitamins A, C, D, E, plus key minerals like zinc and magnesium to support your immune system and boost energy. Just 1 tablet a day is all you need. Take it with water and feel the difference as prescribed by your healthcare provider. Stay active, stay strong, stay ready with Complete Multivitamin, your daily dose of vitality. Complete Multivitamin, simple, powerful nutrition. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
$2.90. And remember to follow us on all the social media platform for more conversation, news in regards to what's happening here in the Nairobi 254 and all over the world. Again, welcome to another conversation of the heritage of slavery and the scramble for Africa and the shocking truth of the Berlin Conference that happened in 1884 to 1885, and the fact that all this has left a big mark on how the system that we are actually being governed on is affecting us. Also, on the fact that we've been colonized in the mind and how the scramble for Africa, basically the Berlin Conference actually has left the African continent in terms of the educational system and political, socially, name it. But first of all, let's actually talk or listen to this short video in regards to the heritage of slavery, because it will definitely lead us to how Africa is right away right now, and how the African Americans, is it still, or do we have individuals in the United States of America who are literally Africans who are still in that mindset? And also in regards to the so-called white individuals, do they still have that mindset in the same country because of what really happened?
South Carolina has a beautiful harbor and a historic one. The war began here with the shelling of Fort Sumter, and even before the fleet was beaten back at the harbor entrance by American Revolutionary troops. But there is another history here, and it has its own kind of troops. 2 boatloads of them once starved themselves to death in this harbor rather than enter Charleston. Another 40,000 of them were rushed through this port in one 3-year period so they could go to work in America for nothing. They were Africans, but in this country they were taught to look at themselves another way, as slaves. Charleston is one of America's oldest cities. Much of the city is lovely, and much of its loveliness is the product of slave labor. But Charleston, like the rest of America, learned very early that if it was going to have slaves, it had better sleep with a gun under its pillow. Like other immigrants to America, the slaves were huddled masses, but unlike the others, what blacks were huddled against was America itself. Often they rebelled, quite often. Partly in order to deal with inside agitators, Charleston put walls and fences all over the place. It turned out that if you bought a slave, you may have bought yourself an insurrectionist. Today, all over America, there are still echoes of the noises made when one race tries to subjugate another. We will explore the heritage of slavery and the roots of Black rebellion. 20 Africans were landed in America in 1619, 1 year before the Mayflower. By 1860, there were 4 million black men, women, and children.
This is when it all began, when a lot of Africans were actually stripped of their culture and the most important thing, their identity. And we didn't have a lot of them that were left here to actually pass on the wisdom, the knowledge that they had in regards to who we are. And that's why we had the introduction of religion, because we can understand that also that was actually stripped off them forcefully and violently, right? And they were made to adopt a new culture, a new identity, new dialect, because all of it was stripped off away from them.
The private property of white America. The New World meant possession to the white man. It meant dispossession to the black man. Slavery was an attitude as much as a condition, and attitudes, like land, can be inherited. On the plantation outside Charleston, where his family has lived for 8 generations since 1672, Norwood Hasty was asked if he thinks slavery was immoral.
No, I don't. Because
this actually pissed me off, because we do have some individuals like this man here who literally talks about the fact that it was good for the African people to be slaves, or to actually remain as slaves, right? And that's how we see the world being actually governed right now all over, basically the white supremacy. Whether you like it or not, this is how they actually carry us in their minds. And that's why we have to basically go deeper into understanding, not even understanding, taking back our power, and not actually wanting them to acknowledge who we are, because we don't need the acknowledgement. If you know who you are, you don't need anybody to validate you. We don't need their validation, because there's this thing that they say, equality, and I would definitely want to delve deeper into that equality, because the African community or the African heritage, we did have a culture, did have a history, we did have an identity. But if someone comes in with an understanding of which definitely should be equal, it's because they're fearful of who you are, because you are literally a powerhouse. So they're going to bring the notion of equality. And it's never even about equality at the end of the day, because it's just words that they're literally going to throw in and out to make you feel like you're considered, but you're not really considered.
Was it? Because when a slave came from Africa, he couldn't speak the language. He was totally
because you scraped off and stripped off their culture, of their dialect. Y'all all did not have everything that we did. And that's why the books were literally changed or flipped to actually make the white supremacy look like the gods of the universe, but it's the other way around, family.
Trained to do any job at all that would fit in with the civilization. Someone had to take care of him. Someone had to take care of him 24 hours a day. And it's pretty hard to do that unless you own a person. So I think slavery just...
Maybe they'll definitely go back to where they came from. That's why. Because all this was not really necessary, because all you all wanted domination, power, and control.
Had to be in those early days.
Mr. Hasty, what was life like in those early days?
As far as the colored people were concerned,
that in a home like this one, Scarlett O'Hara might have lived. And a home like this might have contained an overseer like Simon Legree. But it is an absolute certainty that if I had been around in those days, I would have lived right here. And that, for an increasing number of Black Americans today, is what American history is all about. The process of slavery began in Africa. The slave trade was very rewarding. New Englanders made quick fortunes, and African profiteers who were not exactly soul brothers sometimes helped them. A black captive was marched overland to the west coast of Africa, where a molten branding iron gave him a new, instant identity. It was found that if you strip a man of his culture, prevent him from learning a new one, and separate him from his family, it does not take him too long to start feeling like a commodity. The West's naval architects competed to design slave ships where more men could be packed into less space.
And then the fact that I believe they came into Africa, they saw how amazing it was, the development that was going on. Literally, they wanted what we have, literally. And the fact that right now they claim everything that we are the true originators of, you can actually move or basically follow the marks on it or follow the steps or the footprints, and basically it always leads to us, like a video that was shared last week over here in regards to an individual talking about the fact that he really feels sorry for the white community or the race because everything that have been fed on or they have been taught is a lie. And it's so sad because they confidently believe that they are the true originators, civilizers is a word like that, of everything that is actually governing the world, making the world move in momentum, which is not it, because it's not their real history. It's all a lie to actually feed our ego. And also, something that really taught each and every day, the books have been flipped in regards to knowledge, education, and identity. Moving forward, before we're going to go back to that conversation, but right now we're going to be talking about the shocking truth of the Berlin Conference.
Before Africa was divided by foreign hands, it was a continent of kingdoms, trade routes, empires, and rich civilizations. But in the late 19th century, a storm was brewing in Europe, one that would forever change Africa's fate. This is the untold story of how an entire continent was stolen without a single battle on its soil. This is the scramble for Africa. The Berlin Conference. Africa was not invited. In 1884, in a cold room in Berlin, Europe's most powerful men gathered to decide the fate of a continent that none of them truly understood. This is the story of betrayal, greed, and the carving of Africa without a single African in the room. By the late 1800s, Europe was hungry for rubber, gold, ivory, and power. Industrial revolutions demanded resources. Empires craved expansion. Africa, vast and rich, became the prize. In November 1884, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck invited 14 European nations and the United States to Berlin. Their goal, avoid war over Africa by dividing it like slices of a cake. No African leaders were invited. No kings, no chiefs, no elders. The continent's future was redrawn without a single African voice. Borders ignored cultures, languages, and history. Britain claimed East and Southern Africa. France took the West. Belgium, under King Leopold II, seized the Congo, not for Belgium, but for himself. The continent was carved like meat on a platter. Leopold called it the Congo Free State. But it was anything but free. His soldiers cut off hands of workers who didn't meet rubber quotas. 10 million died in one of history's forgotten genocides. African kingdoms sent envoys, wrote letters, pleaded for peace. They were ignored. Their words never made it past European ears. Their lands, cultures, and sovereignties reduced to zones of profit. By 1900, over 90% of Africa was under European rule.
And we have to understand, no African leader, chief, name it, was actually invited to the Berlin Conference. This is to decide the future of our own continent, honestly. And nobody was really invited to this conference. And you can see the consequences or the residuals of the Berlin Conference right now. It's happening in regards to the fact that we're not united, we are fighting against our own, we are not helping our brothers and sisters, but we're helping other people who are not in our community. You can literally help other people, but the fact that you cannot help your next neighbor or your brother and sister actually shows the existence or the perpetual move of the Berlin Conference right now, So this is how it began, and we actually see the effects up to now, right away.
Entire civilizations disrupted, languages outlawed, cultures demonized. But seeds of resistance were already beginning to grow. Africa was not at the table, but it was on the menu. The Berlin Conference set in motion a century of pain, resistance, and survival. But this is not where the story ends. To understand Africa today, we must first confront the lies told about its past. How Africa resisted colonization. They came with guns, lies, and flags. But Africa did not kneel quietly. From mountains to coasts, from forests to deserts, resistance blazed across the continent. This is the story of defiance, of warriors, kings, queens, and common people who stood against an empire. In Ethiopia, Emperor Menelik II saw what was coming. He armed his people, trained his army, and read the treaties they tried to twist. At the Battle of Adwa in 1896, Ethiopian forces crushed the Italian army. It was a victory that shocked Europe and gave Africa hope. In West Africa,
because they have the ideology that Africans are nice and welcoming. But one thing I know about any African individual, just touch their land. That's one thing, or basically scrap their land off them. That's when the warrior out of them or within them will definitely manifest. But I believe right now, understanding history, going back to history, relearning about your African identity is something that should be taught in the educational system. This week on the show, I'll be talking more about the educational system and how it's actually supposed to be scraped off, or everything should be changed, because we're not learning the things which are the most important ones, which will definitely actually manifest you to be the individual that you're meant to be, or understanding your African identity. This will be a pathway for you to actually walk into this life understanding who you are. But a lot of Africans walk into this life after graduating, after all the curriculums and every subject that you're learning that is actually not really beneficial to you like that much. You walk with the inferiority complex or mentality, knowing that you're not worthy, knowing that you should not actually allow anybody to disrespect you. You should not allow anybody to downgrade you, because I know who I am. But most of us have actually been taught to look up to another race as the most powerful, as gods who are basically worthy of everything good and nice. And also that's why we have the mentality of a lot of individuals right now. After they graduate, they actually want to leave their own country. They want to leave their own home to actually go move and live in another continent or a nation that initially they don't want you there. Initially, they have a perspective about who you are in their mindset, and this is the way they carry you in their mindset. But I believe if we definitely instill the true educational system, mostly about our African heritage, African identity, everything that happened and why it happened, and the reason you should definitely walk into this world knowing that you're a king, knowing that you're a queen, knowing that you deserve the best that life can offer, knowing everything that our enemies did to us, and they're still having the same mindset right now. It will be a different generation, a generation full of courage, a generation full of true education, a generation full of resilience and diligence of protecting everything that belongs to them. I'm talking about the minerals right now. Everything that is always like stolen each and every second without us knowing, without the media talking about it, because it's something that is really happening. The truth of the fact that why Congo is going through whatever it's going through right now, the truth about the fact that why Sudan it's at the state it is right now, because we will always have people who want to come and snatch and take away and leave you with nothing, because they actually think that you mean nothing. But if we have this true education in our houses, in our communities, in our chief camps, every day. We are going to groom another generation, a very fierce generation that will not take any disrespect, any form of downgrading behavior from anybody, because you're not going to come into my country or my house and disrespect me without my knowledge. That will be a very powerful, unshakable, unstoppable generation if the true education is really taught everywhere.
Samurai Touré built a powerful empire through trade and strategy. When the French came, he fought them for over 16 years, using guerrilla tactics and diplomacy. In today's Nigeria,
I definitely remember something to do with the guerrilla tactics. How are you, General Mosquito? Happy Friday!
Queen Amina of Zazzau had already built walls and commanded armies centuries before colonizers arrived. And when they did, new queens like Ya Asantewa of the Ashanti took up arms. In 1900, she led the Ashanti rebellion against British forces, declaring, "If the men will..."
As it should be, as it should be. You should always protect what you know means the world to you. Not even means everything to you. Always protect your own. Always.
"Not fight, I will." In the South, Shaka Zulu had long before revolutionized African warfare. His legacy inspired later Zulu uprisings, as well as resistance in Zimbabwe by the Shona and Ndebele under leaders like Mbuya Nehanda and Lobengula. Resistance wasn't only on battlefields. It was in poems, prayers, schools, and silent sabotage.
And this is not what we're really taught, right? And I believe that's why even last year during the finance bill, a lot of people are shocked because they didn't really expect resistance, because we had a generation that was taking anything that is thrown at them. Anything, they're just going to say yes to it. But last year and also this year, Kenya has shown resistance in things that doesn't really or do not really make sense to us in the government. Like, people are watching and listening, and they're reading each and every leader that is positioned or actually elected for anything. We can understand right now, but because we do have a control, or people who are literally controlling our system right now, it might be a little bit for now for you to actually just take him off. But I'm so hopeful for this generation right now, because people are super hungry for change, because there has been so much comfort, right? We have a generation that they know they is better. They know we are wealthy as the African continent. They know we should definitely be controlling our own system. They know we can have better leaders. Also, to top on it with the fact that Ibrahim is doing what no African leader is doing. So everybody is looking at him and questioning their president or their leader. They're like, what if he's doing what he's doing right now? What about my leader? So it's actually awakening the warrior in individuals who are they have been questioning things for quite a long time. It is a time for us to walk in our purpose. It's our time to take over. It's our time for you to be spiritually connected to the divine, because you have a purpose. You have a part that you're walking in right now. And for you to be super aligned takes discipline. It takes courage. It takes some levels of fierceness for you to walk in this path, because it's not easy. It's not easy, but I'm telling you, you're covered, you're protected, all is well.
Now in Kenya, there's a lady who is...
I'm sorry about that. Let's go back to that conversation right away.
Before Africa was divided, freedom in secret. This was not a silent suffering. It was an unrelenting resistance. They may have lost battles, but they planted seeds that would one day grow into liberation movements. The scramble for Africa was not one-sided.
I think that's really happening right now. Nature is going back to its natural cause. I don't know. I believe everybody has been appointed for a cause in regards to the ones who literally motivate, the ones who actually motivating different kind of levels, the ones who actually talk about things. I can talk about the gifts because as Africans, we're naturally psychic. So talk about the seers, the poets, talk about the artists, the painters, we are all in this together for a common goal, for liberation, for freedom, for redefining Africa as we redefine ourselves.
The spirit of resistance burned brightly, and it still does. Divide and rule. How Europe controlled Africa. When brute force wasn't enough, Europe turned to deception. They called it civilizing, but it was divide and rule, the silent weapon of empire. They separated tribes, favored some over others, and planted seeds of distrust that still grow today.
Is it working right now? It is actually working. All this that was actually planned. How many years back? From 1884 to 1885 right now. Is it still working? It is working. Mostly talking about tribalism. Oh my God. It's so depressing and so heartbreaking, honestly, seeing the things that the colonizers instilled and set as system is still ruling us right now. We should actually script it off, like immediately, because this is not us.
The silent weapon of empire. They separated tribes, favored some over others, and planted seeds of distrust that still grow today. In Nigeria, the British ruled indirectly, giving power to certain chiefs while weakening others. They labeled some tribes loyal and others hostile. In Rwanda, the Belgians created ID cards based on ethnicity, Hutu or Tutsi, drawing artificial lines that would later explode in genocide. They made Africans speak foreign languages, swear loyalty to foreign kings, and believe foreign religions. In Congo, they taught the children to hate their own culture and worship their oppressors. They created a world where African identity was punished and European mimicry was rewarded. Schools erased heritage, churches demonized traditions, and media portrayed Africans as inferior, uncivilized, and incapable. But beneath the surface, resistance simmered. African intellectuals wrote, questioned, and remembered. Secret schools taught truth, and griots, poets, and parents kept the stories alive. Divide and rule was designed to make Africans forget.
So literally we did have some of our ancestors who actually really tried to keep our stories alive and everything that we had to know about our cultures and tradition, dialects. But I believe maybe the colonizers were a little bit stronger at the time. Let's listen in.
Who they were, and to ensure they never united. But they underestimated the power of memory. The economic theft of a continent. They said they came to civilize, but they came...
Not really. I believe they were not actually really stronger than us because, like I said earlier, they used violence to actually strip away everything that defined who we are as Africans.
...to steal. The real reason for the scramble for Africa was greed. Gold, diamonds, rubber, oil, cocoa, cotton. Europe carved the continent to feed its factories and fill its vaults. In Congo, King Leopold turned forests into death camps. For every ton of rubber, thousands of hands were severed. In South Africa, diamonds and gold were dug from the earth by black laborers under brutal conditions, enriching empires abroad.
Under brutal condition. Yeah, that's really happened, guys. That really happened. Violent ways to actually strip everything, to force you to do things you know you shouldn't do. This wealth belongs to you, right? And we can see right now a lot of things that we're actually talking about or actually watching in this video right now is in momentum. But I'm super hopeful for this beautiful generation. Nobody can actually make me think twice about it because I know it has already begun. And it's in momentum. Change is here, like whether you like it or not, whether you are believing it or not. It is a rise of a generation that will not bend to anything that does not define the African ethnicity.
In Ghana, cocoa wealth left the country poor while Britain grew fat. Colonial railways weren't built for Africans. They were built to move resources from mines to ports.
All of this real that you see, that was the main reason for it. And that's why I believe Africans, please kindly let your confidence and pride rise so high, because the United States of America, Europe, will not exist if Africa is not there. It's a fact. There is no United States of America, there is no Europe without Africa.
The ports were lifelines, not for Africans, but for Europe's industries. Even taxes were twisted. Africans were forced to pay money, but the only way to earn it
Look
was
at that, in our own continent, in our own nation, right? And that's why I'm so glad actually right now that the Chadian president, Mahamat Idris Deby, has immediately suspended all visas for the United States of American citizens, citing reciprocity, right? After President Trump reinstated a travel ban affecting 19 countries. I'm so glad this is happening. This should be done like that, a tit for tat. And this is what he said: I have directed the government to follow the principle of reciprocity and halt visa insurance to the U.S. citizen. President Deby stated this on Thursday. He remarked Chad may not have plans or billions, but we have our dignity and pride. He remarked Chad may not have planes or billions, but we do have our dignity. He said this decision came shortly after Trump announced a new travel ban, which will start at 12 a.m. Monday, prohibiting entry from 12 countries and imposing strict restrictions on 7 others. The 12 banned countries are Afghanistan, Myanmar, we do have Chad, Republic of Congo, oh my gosh, really, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan and Yemen. Visitors from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela will face enhanced screening and visa restriction. The African Union has expressed deep concern, I don't believe that, regarding the humanitarian and diplomatic impact of the U.S. policy. I'm accolading the Chadian president for doing this. This is how it's done, literally, because we won't give you easy access to our nation. And y'all are banning a lot of African countries. Basically, Africans, we are all Africans. You're banning Africans from your country. It's a tit for tat, honey. Time is up. Time is literally up.
by working in colonial enterprises. It was theft disguised as development. Colonizers called it progress, but they owned the companies, the land, the banks, the schools. Africans became labor without rights, consumers without wealth, and tenants on their own soil. Every profit flowed out. Every loss stayed behind. Even after independence, debt and unfair trade kept the pipeline open.
And also somebody should definitely remind Bill Gates that we don't need the 200 billion wealth to our health and education in Africa. And he says that at an event in Addis Ababa, this is what Bill Gates says. The 69-year-old emphasized that his focus is on unlocking human potential through the health and education. This is not actually facts. We know what really happens to the health sector of it, right? Throughout the continent, stating that this is what he said. This is what Bill Gates says. Every African nation should strive for prosperity. And that's why he will be donating $200 billion. Oh, that's the sum of his wealth to health and education in Africa. Quotes and quotes, that's the sum of his wealth. Bill Gates, we actually do not need your motivation for us to strive for prosperity, because you're actually rolling in our wealth. That's a message to Mr. Bill Gates.
Still today, Africa bleeds wealth through exploitative contracts, foreign control, and corporate colonialism. The scramble never ended. It just changed names.
Yeah, it's still happening right now.
But truth exposes theft. The scramble's legacy in modern Africa.
That's what we're literally talking about right now. What's really happening right now in the new modern scramble for Africa.
The scramble may be history, but its shadow still lingers. Borders drawn by Europeans still divide families, tribes, and nations. Not by logic, but by...
And that's where my Tanzanian brothers and sisters, Uganda, we should not be fighting, honey, because it means the borders that are actually governed, or basically they are set in 1884 up to 1885, still ruling us. We should be smarter than this, y'all. We should be smarter than this.
Colonial convenience.
We should confuse them right now and unite. That's the confusion factor of it. We should definitely just confuse them and unite, because we're all one, you know?
Conflicts rage where lines were never meant to be. In some countries, 5 major languages compete for power, none of them African. Roads still lead from mines to ports, not between towns. Schools still teach European heroes, not African ones.
Right? This is, I think I'm always really upset about the educational system. We're taught about people we never knew. We'll never want to know about them. And it's going back to this conversation, like, why don't we question this? Like, why am I learning about someone who doesn't look like me? You know? Why am I reading these books about an individual who actually doesn't look like me? You know? It's a question, because I'm actually sitting down right now and I'm thinking, why did I not question about why is Lake Victoria called Lake Victoria? Why is it not called like Lake Nginda or, you know, Lake Yale? Talk about something like that. It should be changed. The educational system should be scraped off, y'all. It should.
Laws written by colonizers remain untouched. Courts favor those who speak the old imperial language. Even democracy itself was copied, not rooted. The result? A continent trapped in someone else's blueprint. The economy remains extractive. Africa grows what it doesn't eat, eats what it doesn't grow.
That is so true. And also, do you know how beautiful it is when you're actually talking in your ethnic language? It's so attractive. It's just, I love it. I love hearing someone talking in their own ethnic language. It's so empowering. As in, it's very nice, but we've been taught to actually dim that light, which is a part of our identity. And when someone is talking in their dialect language, you look at them somewhere. You give them a somehow look, which you shouldn't. You should actually question yourself, like, oh my gosh, who am I? Because it's actually a train of you losing your culture, losing your identity, losing who you are, where you're going. And you're adapting another man's language, identity, ways of living, ways of eating, ways of talking, I know, ways of singing, ways of dancing, ways of actually everything to do with you. Should definitely take a moment and actually sit down with ourselves and relearn and learn. And also, it is really heartbreaking. It is really painful. It is really sad, because when you go back on that lane or that path, it's a process, but also you have to accept it. And also it raises this warrior in you, the courage that comes with it, because now you're super hungry and you're really yearning to know more about who you are. And that's a path you'll always walk on, because you're really curious about everything that was not taught about you, about where you come from. about where you're heading.
We export raw materials and import finished goods, just as we did a century ago. Multinational corporations dominate land, water, and wealth. Youth unemployment rises while our resources build foreign tech, foreign luxury, foreign empires. And yet, Africa is blamed for its own wounds. The media calls us corrupt, unstable, broken. But it was never broken by us. The scramble broke it, and never truly ended. The legacy lives in systems, symbols, and scars. But memory is power. Untold African heroes of resistance. They tried to erase their name.
These are the heroes that are not in our history books, but we're learning about Da Gama, Vasco da Gama, but we're not learning about our true heroes, our mothers and fathers, now brothers and sisters. We're not learning about them because the main truth is, or the main meaning about it, is for them to be forgotten. And if they're forgotten, you and I are not going to learn about who we are. We're not going to learn how we should be living, how we should walk in our path of our Africanism.
But Africa remembers. The scramble for Africa was met not with silence, but with fire. From queens to generals, from farmers to poets, resistance rose across the continent. In Angola, Queen Nzinga outwitted the Portuguese with
She's my favorite Queen Nzinga.
Diplomacy and defiance. In Ethiopia, Emperor Menelik
I believe there's a documentary series on Netflix about Queen Nzinga.
crushed Italy at the Battle of Adwa.
If we actually want to really understand about a little bit about our African Asian history, go watch that documentary movie actually on Netflix about Queen Nzinga. So it will actually give you a notion about your African heritage.
A victory that shook
And the fact that we were not actually just relaxing when all of this was happening. We tried our best to actually fight this war. We really did.
every European throne. In the Zulu kingdom, Shaka's legacy inspired military genius long after his death. In Algeria, Abdelkader led years of guerrilla war against
Yes, family, before we actually continue with this beautiful conversation about the scramble for Africa, remember you can download our app on the Google Play Store, stream on www.blackhot5radionetwork.com for amazing healthy supplements, apparel clothing with the Black Hot Fire Radio logo on it. We're going to go on a short commercial break in regards to the supplements we do have for you on our website to give you an understanding of what you should definitely be expecting as you're downloading our app. If you're using the computer, kindly stream on www.blackhot5radionetwork.com. If you're using the iPhone, on Google Play Store, it's super free for you to actually download our app, and definitely go to our store, the apparel store, and the store where you'll definitely find these supplements. Remember, wealth is wealth, and we have to live longer because we have a purpose to fulfill. Let's listen to the health and benefits of beetroot.
Beetroot, nature's powerhouse. Packed with vitamins, antioxidants, and nitrates, it's known to support heart health, boost stamina, and improve blood circulation. Our beetroot is naturally grown and harvested at peak ripeness. The roots are cleaned, dried, and finely ground to preserve their rich nutrition content, giving you all the benefits in one pure form. Add 1 teaspoon of beetroot powder to your juice, smoothie, or water, or take it in capsule form as recommended by your healthcare provider. Beetroot helps enhance endurance, lower blood pressure, and keep you feeling energized and balanced all day. Fuel your body with the natural power of beetroot. Stay strong, stay healthy. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
$20.90, family. You'll get yourself some beetroot immediately right away. Please, let's continue with the conversation of the day.
French. In modern Ghana, Ya Asantewa raised an army when the British stole the Golden Stool, fighting not just for land, but for honor. Still lead from mines to ports, not between towns. Schools still teach European heroes, not African ones. Laws written by colonizers remain untouched. Courts favor those who speak the old imperial language. Even democracy itself was copied, not rooted. The result? A continent trapped in someone else's blueprint. The economy remains extractive. Africa grows what it doesn't eat, eats what it doesn't grow. We export raw materials and import finished goods.
That's so wrong. Like, it's so wrong. We eat what we don't grow, and we grow what we don't eat. But it's a fact.
Just as we did a century ago. Multinational corporations dominate land, water, and wealth. Youth unemployment rises while our resources build foreign tech, foreign luxury, foreign empires. And yet, Africa is blamed for its own wounds. The media calls us corrupt, unstable, broken. But it was never broken by us. The scramble broke it, and never truly ended. The legacy lives in systems, symbols, and scars. But memory is power. Untold African heroes of resistance. They tried to erase their
Memory is power. And the fact that a lot of Africans, individuals, do not have a memory about their African history, that's why there's a lot of control. That's why we do have the inferiority complex, because we don't have a memory about who we are. What is that? Or basically, what does that mean? We don't have a memory of our African heritage. We don't have a memory of the king and queens who literally fought for us, who actually stood confidently saying, no, we cannot take our land away from us. We don't have a memory of the people we should definitely look up to and basically follow in the same momentum about our African heritage.
Names, but Africa remembers. The scramble
But Africa remembers, as we always say, nature will always go back to its natural course.
for Africa was met not with silence, but with fire. From queens to generals, from farmers to poets, resistance rose across the continent. In Angola, Queen Nzinga outwitted the Portuguese with diplomacy and defiance. In Ethiopia, Emperor Menelik crushed Italy at the Battle of Adwa, a victory that shook every European throne. In the Zulu kingdom, Shaka's legacy inspired military genius long after his death. In Algeria, Abdelkader led years of guerrilla war against the French. In modern Ghana, Ya Asantewa raised an army when the British stole the Golden Stool, fighting not just for land, but for honor. These were not rebels. These were freedom fighters, thinkers, builders. Many fought with weapons, others with words. Samurai Touré, who built a West African empire, resisted for over 15 years.
We should definitely be learning about Samurai Touré. I've never heard of this man. I'm learning about him today. It means the books that we've been learning, they've not put our heroes in these books, but they've put Vasco da Gama. We know more about Vasco da Gama than Samurai Touré, than Queen Nzinga.
Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, a Nigerian mother and teacher, challenged colonial patriarchy and built schools for girls. Africa resisted in battlefields, in books, in spirit. And even when the guns fell silent, the resistance continued. Through songs, stories, memory, colonizers had the power, but Africans had the soul. And now, the world is beginning to listen.
Yes, yes, yes. We are reclaiming our greatness back, live and direct, as it should be.
Reclaiming our history. Africa speaks back. For centuries, others told Africa's story. They called us savages, tribes, backward. They erased kingdoms, buried queens, renamed rivers. But now, Africa speaks back. We are not waiting to be
This is a conversation that I want to hear every day. Like whatever I've shared today, it's more empowering you to basically step into your power, knowing more about who you are, and actually driving you there into that warrior spirit. Like, yo, it's time to reclaim your greatness back because this is who you are.
discovered. We were never lost. From Timbuktu to Great Zimbabwe, our history was written in stone, song, and stars. Today, African scholars are rewriting textbooks. Filmmakers are restoring truth through image and sound. Artists reclaim symbols once used to oppress. We are not just reclaiming land, we're reclaiming the narrative. The internet has become our drumbeat. Diaspora voices echo across borders. Youth are questioning colonial names, flags, laws. We are digging up archives, translating oral histories, and lifting the veil on stolen legacies. Reclaiming history is not nostalgia.
This is it for us, and that's what I'm saying. The fact that even the great Ngugi wa Thiong'o passed, I believe that was actually a maze passed on to this generation because it's time to reclaim our greatness unapologetically. And you're supposed to be unified when we're doing this, and that's when this generation, going back again to the finance bill, we were basically tribeless, leaderless, but we were in it together for a common goal. If we have that one common goal, mostly the fact that the mace has been passed on, it's our time to actually reclaim everything that was stolen and basically eroded and reclaim our greatness back, our power back, our confidence, our pride, and our ego back because it's time. It is time, family, but I'm winding up with that right away this beautiful, beautiful Friday. And I hope you had a great time with me here on Let's Pop with Iriton, the conversation about the heritage of slavery, how it started, the max, or basically the residuals that it left in Africa, and also how we had our kings and queens, our ancestors, fight for us during this battle, and basically how it affected our educational system, and the fact that also our great African legends are never mentioned in our books. But the time is now to actually rewrite our history. That has been my time here on Let's Pop with Iriton. Again, have a beautiful, magical, fabulous weekend. Leave, enjoy, drink lots of water, surround yourself with people who bring the best version of yourself. And remember, you are it. Let nobody tell you otherwise. I'm sending you so much love and light. Take care, and remember, you are the change you need to see in the world. Take care and have a fabulous weekend.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Here is Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother, all the way in Switzerland. And I'm reaching out to all of my brothers and sisters on the African continent. You're tuning into Black Hot Fire Radio, and you're listening to...
You're now listening to the best music.